Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into track and field at the college level. My guest today is Anselm LeBourne, and he is the professor at Seton University for Stillman Business School, as well as from Lovent to Wall Street Scholarship Foundation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure for you to having me here today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So usually I start my guests where they went to college. So where'd you go to school?
Well, I went to Seton University in South Orange, New Jersey. I attended Seton from 1978 through 1982 on a track and field scholarship.
Great. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came here.
Well, I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. I migrated to this country on July 4th, 1977, which on July 4th just passed was 40 years.
Wow.
That I came from Trinidad and Tobago. And I must mention, when I came on July 4th, 1977, I came with my other three siblings, my other three brothers, and we came with one suitcase. So there was, we had all our belongings in one suitcase. So we landed at JF Kennedy Airport on July 4th, 1977. And where I grew up at a place called Laventil, Chumacac, Laventil, Trinidad and Tobago. And it was one of the poorest areas of Trinidad and Tobago. And we used to say that we were so poor, they dropped the OR. We were just poor. so we came here in 1977, and I had to make a decision. While being in Trinidad, I was okay in track and field, and now I'm in the United States of America. I have to decide what I want to do with the future of my life, what I want to do. So I decided that I had to go back to high school for 1 year. It's like when you send in players to prep school for another 5th year. I decided I was going to go back to high school for 1 year in order to acquire a track and field scholarship. So I went to Boys and Girls High School in Brooklyn, New York. I joined the track team. And fortunately, in September 1978, I picked, the choice of going to Seton University on a full track and field scholarship. Then I went on from when I graduated in 1982 from Seton Hall, with a degree in accounting. I went on to work 23 years on Wall Street. A very nice career, I should say. And then after, taking early retirement from the New York Stock Exchange, where I worked for 23 years, I came back. I always had I like to teach, and I came back, and currently I'm a professor at Seton University in the business school, teaching principles of business management, organizational behavior, and global business.
Wow.
So that's where it stands right now.
Beautiful. So when you were in Brooklyn at high school, when did track and field really start for you? Was it freshman year, senior year when you started getting recruited by some of these colleges, or Seton Hall was it and that was it?
Well, I had many other choices. It wasn't just Seton Hall. There were many other choices. I had Alabama University. I had Eastern Michigan. I had quite a few universities. However, in Trinidad, it's a very warm climate. And, on a tough day, the temperature may go from 90 degrees to 89 degrees. And that's the kind of jump in the weather. So, I had to make a choice. Eastern Michigan was kind of out of the question because it's too cold there. People told me the temperature used to go like 20 degrees below zero. 20 degrees below zero. Never ever vision. I don't know if I could have survived in that type of weather. So, Seton was close to home. It was kind of perfect weather. So it was that choice. The reason why I picked Seton is because I believe going to Seton I could set myself up to succeed, being at Seton University.
Great. So you go to Seton University, and what is track and field all about there? What events are you running, and what is it all about? Well,
I got to give you a story. I have a lot of stories. What it is, when I came to Seton in 1978, there were 6 other 800-meter runners that came in with me as well. So that make it 7. There were 7 of us. And unfortunately for me, I was lucky number 7. So I wasn't the best guy, so to speak. I wasn't the best guy, from the 7 guys came in. But I know if I was given an opportunity to be on a scholarship at Seton and being the first one in my family to go to college, I was not going to let that opportunity pass by. And I have a quote. It says, hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. I wasn't the most talented guy, but I was one of the hardest workers. And in January 1979, I was number one half miler at Seton Hall. So we went from last to first, at Seton Hall. And it's all about hard work. That's what really gets you, because you have to be able to balance. And just like in Principle of Business Management, something called time management, you have to be able to manage your time, in order to be successful. Okay. And I was able to manage my time. And back then, there weren't a lot of kids on scholarship majoring in business, because unfortunately, sometimes a lot of the kids who are on scholarship were majoring in physical education. Nothing against physical education. It's okay, it's fine, but I think that, being I was the first one in my family to go to college, I wanted to make sure that my degree had some sort of prestige. That's why I majored in accounting.
So now tell me a little bit about the practices. How's it work? How many hours do you run?
Well, you basically run 7 days a week. Back then, the NCAA rules were not as strict as it is now. So we would run, you will train 5 days a week, but if you don't have a track meet on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, you basically ran on your own. And back then at Seton Hall, we had what was called a bubble. For an indoor track, when it was cold, we had a bubble. And the track was like 176 yards, a wooden track, 176 yards, and a bubble that was about 35 degrees most of the time. So it was kind of cold in there. But that's what we used to do, training indoors. So what I used to do, I used to get up in the mornings and go for my morning runs. But I never used to tell anybody. I want them to be sleeping while I'm doing my morning runs. So I used to get up on mornings, do my morning runs, and when they asked me, hey, LeBourne, what did you do? I said, I was taking it easy. I ain't doing that. Because remember now, even though I just came to Seton Hall, I'm number 7. So, and if there's a relay, there's only 4 guys in the relay team, and I wanted to be part of the relay. So I put in a lot of hard work, as I said, hard work beats talent, so I was always working hard, and I think the thing that made me successful is that I outworked most of the other kids on the team.
Now, how many tournaments do you run in? Is it quite a lot in the fall and the spring? Or?
Well, it's a lot of track meets. So you could have a track meet. You could have a 2-day track meet, maybe Saturday or Sunday, or you could have a meet a Friday and a Saturday. So the track meet was like almost every weekend. We used to go to a track meet. So most of the time we used to be kind of away quite a bit. And back then, Seton Hall wasn't as good as they are now in basketball. So I used to call our team, the kind of motto for Seton Hall is the Flying Pirates. I used to call our team the Driving Pirates because we drove everywhere. We drove to Tennessee and all.
Oh,
and that's
how
we actually drove. And actually, at Seton Hall, the track team was the first team that ever won a Big East championships. We won the Big East championship in 1981. The first team to ever done that at Seton Hall University. I got to admit to you, we were way better than the basketball team back then. Way better. I know all the basketball people that from Seton Hall looking on, and Bill Rafferty was the coach. We were just better.
Interesting. So when you graduated from college and you went into business, what got you involved into creating a foundation and coming back to Seton Hall University as a professor?
And that's a great question. As I said before, in Trinidad and Tobago, I grew up in one of the poorest areas of Trinidad and Tobago. Very, 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 very poor. As a matter of fact, my mother used to pay $12 a month rent, and it was poor. And the way how I got away from that environment, it was through a track and field scholarship. So that track and field scholarship allowed me to get an education and leaving there then to go on to work on Wall Street for 23 years, and being successful, and then deciding to come back and wanted to teach and being able to teach at Seton Hall University. So it's a big 360-degree turn that happened. So I believe that I was fortunate, and I want now to give back to people from my community in Trinidad and Tobago to tell them that you can be successful just as Anselm was successful. And there's a quote that says, your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. I want to repeat that. Your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. Circumstances was tough. It was difficult. It wasn't easy. But at the end of the day, you are still responsible for who you become. And that's what I'm trying to give, to the people of those less undeserved areas in Trinidad and Tobago. Just recently, I just came back from Trinidad about a week ago. We had our first football tournament. We call it football, soccer. People call it soccer, but we call it football. First football tournament that was very, very successful, for the youths to come out, and just me trying to inspire them for a better tomorrow and tell them that, there is hope for football scholarships, there's hope for basketball scholarships, there's hope for track and field scholarships, there's hope for swimming scholarship, water polo scholarship. However, it is not just athletics, it is academics with athletics. So I call it the double A's, academics and athletics. You can't just dunk a basketball or run fast in track and field and you don't have any academics and you think you're going to get a scholarship. Sometimes people think if I'm a great basketball player, if I'm a great swimmer, that's good enough. I tell people, no, that's not good enough. You have to be able to balance the academics with athletics. And if you can do that, we will work with you in order for you to acquire a scholarship. In addition to that, we also have to help the kids with the SAT, because in the Caribbean, the SAT is not something that we really do. We do a different type of British test. So the SAT is something we have to prep the kids for. And I've been telling most of the kids in Trinidad, you need to go to khanacademy.com. Khanacademy.com is like this teaching online service. It's free that you can go, you can get practice SAT tests, and you can, in order to just to bring yourself up to speed. So that's just part of the things that I'm doing. And I feel so good, about being able, to give back to my community.
So tell me a little bit about the foundation. What are you actually doing there? Are you just bringing kids to play soccer and track and field and things like that, or you're teaching them a lot about a lot of different things?
Yes, absolutely. It is not just about sports. It's about life skills as well. It's about developing these kids in order they could come to the U.S. to be successful. We don't want to put them in a position where they're going to fail. We are putting them in a position that they're going to succeed. And soon, in Trinidad and Tobago, we're going to be establishing what's called the Laventille to Wall Street Empowerment Center. At this Empowerment Center, kids can come in and get free tutoring of the SAT. There's also the ACT. They can come in and get free tutoring. We teach them life skills. We also bring them in just to teach them about things in general. We're going to have an entrepreneurship school as well in there to teach the kid about entrepreneurship. So it's a kind of combination of many different things that we are trying, to get these kids to do, because it's important that when they leave on a track and field scholarship, we set them up for success. And in addition to that, it's important that when they come away on those scholarships, we continue to communicate with them to make sure that they are doing the things that they're supposed to be. Because remember, you're leaving Trinidad and Tobago, some of them being away from their home for the first time. So they need people to continue to mentor them in order for them to continue to be successful.
So now, are they in high school already, or are you bringing them here in the United States in high school?
Most of them are already in high school. But not only that, my son attended boarding school. My son attended the Hill boarding school for 2 years. So he was a junior in high school and he was going to be a senior. But we felt that he was a young junior. So we felt that he needed 2 extra years. So we sent him, to the Hill boarding school, and he was very good in football. He actually broke the school record in just 2 years. He scored 45 goals.
Wow.
So he was pretty good. But, the Hills kind of set him up from an academic perspective, to go on to Drexel University, also on a football scholarship to be successful. So another thing I like to introduce in Trinidad is there are some kids who may need to go to a prep school for 1 year, just to help them, get up to speed. And if they can go to this prep school 1 year and hone their academic skills, and hone whatever other athletic skills, they have, we can set them up to success.
And so you help them get into those prep schools
Yes.
as well as college?
Yes, we'll help them. We will assist them get into any one of those schools that they're trying for. But the important thing is that we are going to try to send them to schools where they're going to succeed. And some kids, I believe, are not really ready for Division I as yet. So we may have to send those kids to community college, which I think is very important. Some kids are just not ready, for Division I school. I'll give you an example. When my son was going to high school, there was a lot of different prep schools were after him. But those prep schools, you had to stay on campus. And I don't think my son was ready as yet, to go away and stay on campus by himself. So 3 years down the road, he was ready. So we sent him off to prep school. So what it is that, as I said, we have to make sure and set up these kids to succeed. And an avenue for some kids might be community college first, junior college, before they go on, to the 4-year college for the final 2 years.
Now, there's something that a lot of people don't know out there. You're also a record holder in the marathon. Is that correct?
You know, I mean, you know, sometimes I don't like to really talk about that, but you know, since you brought it up, I've established 16 world records in men masters track and field for men 40 and over. You know, I was the first guy 52 years or older to run under 2 minutes for 800. I ran 158.65. You know, I was a 10-time gold medalist champion at the World Masters Track and Field Championship. I was the first guy, I was the oldest guy to ever run at a World Track and Field Championships. Oldest guy to ever run. That was in 2015 in Beijing, China.
Wow.
You know, there was the first 800 for men 50 and over. I was actually the oldest guy in that race as well. I finished fourth. You know, so I've done a little bit of first myself, you know, since I've been, you know, around the block.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So now when you're in, as a professor at the university, do you get a lot of these questions from the students? Do they know a little bit about you?
Well, some students Google me and they find out about me, you know, but at the beginning of class, I do actually tell them, like I tell them we have a test on the first day of class. I say, you know, did everybody get the email that we were having a test? The people look at me like, what test is he talking about, right? I said, oh, you know, that's okay. And one of the questions is, how many world records do you think I have? You know, and then if a student, you know, guesses it correctly, I give them a little award for guessing it correctly. Most of the time, there's no students don't. You know, 16 is quite a bit, you know, and I also tell them that part of my goal is that for the next 2 years or so is to reach 20.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm trying to get, you know, 2 decades of world record.
So do you give some of your wisdom of track and field to other students that are at the school? Does anyone come up to you that's a track and field runner?
Absolutely, absolutely, because right now, they only have cross-country at Seton. They used to have track and field, but they don't have track and field anymore. So the cross-country runners see me actually training on the track, and when they're training, I would give them encouragement, you know, because I know the coach, Coach Moon, who was the coach when I was there, is still there. Oh, wow. So I encourage the kids, and after the kids come and tell me, oh, you know, we really appreciate that you could encourage us. So, you know, I'm giving them encouragement, and I go talk to them to, you know, tell them, look, these are the things you need to do. You know, you need to get kind of serious. You need to make sure you get your rest, you know, before a meet. And you need to make sure that you're eating the right things as well, because nutrition is very, very, very important. Very, very important.
Especially when you're running.
Especially when you're running. I'm a vegetarian, and one of the reasons why I'm a vegetarian is due to running. If I want to keep on running fast as I get older, you know, I need to get rid of some of the things that, you know, doesn't help me.
Interesting. So at the school, is there? Does everyone have to be financially needed at the school to get money at the school, or can they be middle class type families that get money at the school as well? Well,
there are different scholarships. You know, like you can get academic scholarships, right? There's academic, and since there's only cross country, you know, if you mix cross country with academics, you could actually be on a full scholarship. You know, there's different types of scholarship. For example, you know, if kids are middle class and they have good grades, they can get academic scholarship as well. And Seton is not really a cheap school, you know, but there are many other opportunities in order for you to gain academic scholarships as well.
Sure. Now, how often do you go back to Trinidad?
Well, anytime there's a break at Seton Hall, I'm normally in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, because I believe this foundation is the buzzword that I use is called an opportunity. It's an opportunity for many of these kids to make a lives for themselves and a future for themselves, not only themselves, but their parents too as well. Because many of these kids cannot afford 1 credit in a college. So, you know, when I go there, you know, I try to impress on the kids. And just like I'm here today, you know, I normally go on the different, you know, television stations in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, and broadcasting about what we are trying to do, the work that we are trying to do. We're having different events in the different communities. So it's all about work, you know, and the kids got to play their part too, because it's not just you're going to wake up and you're just going to get a track and field scholarship, or you're going to a basketball scholarship or a football scholarship or a swimming scholarship. You know, you have to do some work too as well. You know, so as much as I can, I'm always in Trinidad trying to impress, you know, on the kids that this is what you need, this is what you need to do. Not only that, but I believe that sports can take you away from other things that you're not supposed to be doing. You know, if you're playing basketball 2 hours a day after you have finished your work, your school work, when you finish that practice, you're tired. So you're ready to go to bed. So to me, sports helps, and it also teaches kids discipline. Because with track and field, it taught me a lot of discipline. Very, very disciplined.
Now, when you're in Trinidad, are you doing a lot of speaking engagements?
Yes.
How do kids find you?
Well, what kids can do, they can go to my, there's a website called From Laventille to Wall Street, sportsacademy.com. There's also applications on there. You can go there, you can fill out applications with different sports. For example, like if it's in track and field, you can go and you can fill out a track and field application. You put in your time, you put in a link. I've run 10.8 in 100, and here's where I ran that 10.8. I've run 21.8 in a 200, and here's where I ran that 200. And here's where I ran that time, right? So then, I then talk to the coaches and tell you, even up to the day, I was speaking to a coach, and I was telling her like, I have this kid from Trinidad, he's very good. I sent you an email, come on, let's go, because this kid is a scholarship material here. So she says, I'm sorry, I got it, but I need to send it to the advisor in order for him to look at it because he's an international student. So I enjoy this work. This work is fun for me, and it's me giving back, from something that made me what I am today or put me in the position that I am today.
Now, do you do anything in the United States for any of the maybe inner city kids here? Well,
here what I do, I have what's called Running Development Academy. And Running Development Academy to me is like when you go to SAT prep. A lot of people go for SAT prep, right, because they want to do better in the SAT. Running Development Academy is you come to Running Development Academy if you want to do better in track and field. So it's not called a SAT, but it's called RDA, Running Development Academy. And I've had many kids who have came to the academy, have improved, and have gone on, to scholarship in many different schools. As a matter of fact, I have a young lady now. She's at University of Massachusetts Amherst. I was coaching her since she was like 7 or 8. She went on to Columbia High School. She did very well. And then she now is on full scholarship. At the University of Massachusetts Amherst. So I call it, the prep, track and field prep, just like the SAT prep. So I've worked with many kids from, I've worked with some kids also, not just in the urban district, but also in the suburban district as well.
Yeah.
So,
do you find track today is different than track when you ran?
Oh, absolutely. Totally different. It's different now. Because the difference now is that back then, the drugs weren't as prevalent as it is now. You could just pop a little pill and it would help you to train harder. Back then, we didn't take anything. Maybe a little vitamin C, maybe, or vitamin E, and that was it. But today, due to the drug kind of era, a lot of people are trying to find out the easy way out, and drugs help you, drugs don't help you run fast now. People think drugs help you to train harder, to run faster. So if you hear today, there's always somebody getting busted.
What are some of the times that colleges are looking for track and field? Like some of the events and the times.
Like for example, there's a kid in Trinidad and Tobago right now. He has ran 1 minute and 51 seconds in an 800. That's full scholarship material at any Division I school in the United States of America. Full scholarship. All he has to do now is to get the academic part down together. For example, in a 400, if you run 47.1 seconds, that's full scholarship in many schools, right? If you go 46 anything, that's full scholarship. In a 200, if you run 21 point, it's full scholarship. Because remember, there's a lot of colleges out here, many colleges. There's the top tier colleges, the second tier colleges, and the third tier colleges. And some third-tier colleges will be looking for a kid that runs 47, give him a full scholarship. Yeah. So, there are times that people can run, make you a full scholarship, and there are times when you run, wouldn't put you in a Division I school, but might put you in, a top Division I school, but will put you in a second-tier Division I school or a third-tier Division I school. There's also Division II and Division III too as well. Yeah. I know that, Division III don't give scholarships. So if you're going to attend that school, you have to have good academics, with the athletics.
Well, we're coming to the end of our show, and usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the parents out there that their sons and daughters want to run track at the college level?
Well, this is advice that I basically give to parents. I said, you got to be involved. You got to be involved with your kids, all right? And you got to encourage them. There's 2 books that I recommend to many people to read. The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale and The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David Schwartz, which is very important for the kids to think positive and for the parents to have a positive influence on them. Always telling their son that, or daughters, you can be good. You can achieve this. And that encouragement, because I didn't have, my mother was busy working, and I didn't have anybody influencing me, for me to inspire me for a better tomorrow. So what I'll tell the parents, inspire your kids, be with them. If they have a game, try to go to the game with them. If you can't go to all the games, but just be there for them, and inspire them for a better tomorrow.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.